Hi everyone, my name's Michelle and I'm Mama Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram and Etsy as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. I have got so much to share with you today. I am downstairs again because I need a bit of space for this one. So if you've seen my Instagram post, you might have an idea as to why I need a bit of space. I also have some issues with scale in some of the things that I'm going to show you as well. So some purchases where scale is different, shall we say. I'm going to start off by showing you what I've stitched this week, and then I'm going to show you what I finished, which is then going to explain all of the things that I can see in front of me now, because we're going to have a little talk, and we're going to have a little talk about spools. So let me just show you what I have stitched on. So I have stitched on my Blessing sampler, which is Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery. And I haven't ironed this one, but I have done a bit more to bring this cartouche down. If you remember last week, we had a little bit of red fluff on there. I don't know what it is. There's a possibility that I might have been eating pavlova far too close to it, and it might be a little bit of red currant, or it could be a dye spot. But either way, it's not a bit of fluff, but it is far enough, it's there. So it's far enough out that it will be hidden by the frame. So if it was a pavlova incident, I've gotten away with it, so that's okay. So I've stitched on that. I have also stitched on Blessings and Kind Wishes by Blackbird Designs. So this is where I'm at. So it's this one. And if you didn't see me start it during the Flossmas, I'm planning on stitching it as it is. Up in the top here, there's a couple of stalks up on top of this roof, and I am going to try and change mine to make them a little bit more heron-like, because my favourite bird is a heron, so I'm going to see if I can make them a little bit more heron-like. So this is where I am on this one, and you can see I was stitching on it earlier. It still has the needle in place. So this is a piece of 32 count Fibre on a Whim Latte, and I'm using all the called for colours, and if they're not called for, they're sort of within the suggested colour range of the stitch. So there we are. And as I said, I've got one finish. Before I show you that, I didn't get any stitching done at all on Friday because I went on a school trip. I went to see the musical Six in Swansea, and if you haven't seen it and you get the chance to see it, it's fabulous. I've been singing the songs all day to myself. Sorry, not sorry for what I said, which could become a bit of a theme tune in life. You never know. Don't be sorry for what you say. So I didn't get any stitching done yesterday. I went to see Six the musical. That was great. Other things I've done this week. I went to book club. It was our first meeting. We've been reading Lessons in Chemistry. I am about it. It's all right. I haven't finished it. I was trying to catch up and finish it by listening to the audiobook, but the woman who was reading the audiobook was really slow, so I had her on 1.5 times just to try and speed things through a little bit. I don't know. I haven't quite got to the end of it yet, but yeah. Anyway, but the good thing was I managed to acquire a 2-drawer filing cabinet. So I'd been looking for a 2-drawer filing cabinet, and I'd seen one sort of advertised on Facebook Marketplace, and I just missed it. Anyway, I went to the pub for the book club, and sat outside the cafe next door was a 2-drawer filing cabinet. And so I messaged the woman who owns the cafe and says, is that looking for a new home? Has it been left there for a reason? And she said, yeah, it's looking for a new home. If you want it, take it. So from going to the pub and going to book club, I acquired a 2-drawer filing cabinet. So I'm very happy with that. So I'm in the process of sorting out all my charts now. Once I've done it, I'll let you know how I've sorted it out and whether it works or not. We'll see. Anyway, on to what I have finished. So I have finished by Rovaris Savio E, which is a fabulous stitch. I've really enjoyed it. It comes with a DMC thread list, but what I decided to do was just to pick out colours that were similar. This is a piece of 32 count linen that came with the kit, so everything came in the kit except the threads. It came with some, what do you call those, thread drops. It came with a little, almost like a little bell on the ring. It came with a beautiful stitch ripper with a Murano handle, and it came with this beauty. So this beautiful spool, and it came with ribbons and buttons as well. And the idea is that you are going to then make this, let me just see if I can finger press it so that you can see what it might look like. So that you are going to then attach it. Let's see if I can do this in midair, it's going to be interesting, to this spool. I'll have to, yeah, I need to sort it out a bit more. It needs to be quite tight to the stitches. And so the idea is that you, oh come on Michelle, let's have a proper moment at this, shall we? I think it's got to be really, really close to the stitches, because I know that I've even shaved off a couple of stitches because I went wrong. So mine's even a couple of stitches narrower than it should be. So let's try and just hold that in place like that. There we go. There we go. Perfect, yeah, even more. And so the idea is that you wrap it round the spool and you sort of display it wrapped around the spool. I promise I will come back and show you this in a better idea. I'm just trying to give you the idea that it was shown, which is what attracted me to the stitch in the first place. So this beautiful handmade spool. Now this may explain the plethora of spools that I have in front of me, because what I thought I'd do is show you a collection, a smaller selection of some of my spools and what I plan to do with them, what sorts of things you can do with spools. So the first one is you can attach a sampler to it in that fashion and have it so that it's much longer than the sampler, and so that it actually wraps round, or much longer than the spool, sorry, so that actually wraps round and can be tied up or can be displayed almost like falling off the spool. You can also, and a good example of this would be Christina from Whilst Iris Naps, or With Thy Needle Ellen Chester. You can actually get samplers which are designed to just wrap around just the sort of barrel of the spool. So you can get spools this sort of size, and this is just a plain wooden one, but they do come slightly larger as well, and they can come with a metal edge as well, which can be really, really nice. Sometimes they're painted, sometimes they're not, but I just love them. So those are the sort of types that have two ends that are kind of the same. You can get spools which are actually thinner at the top than they are at the bottom. These ones have metal ends. I've got a pair of these, and I've also got a pair that are a bit shorter as well, but they do kind of taper off towards the ends. What else have I got? I've got another one here, which is a yellow and a red one, and I use it for displaying my little clamps with pin cushions. So I've got one little old wooden one, and I have one of the bird clamps with blue velvet. I haven't seen very many with blue velvet. I've seen a lot with red, but not many with blue. And you've got this beautiful metal work on there. So I use one spool for that. What else have I got spools for? So slightly smaller spools for just mounting a little bit of stitching on. So this is a Halloween sheep, and it usually has this little Halloween pumpkin that I made sitting on the top of it. They're great for giving a bit of height in a display, or giving something slightly different, a different shape in a display. This is what it would look like if it still had some thread on it. So this one's still got a little bit of silk thread, and I pick them up sometimes because I like the thread colour. So this would have been an empty one. This obviously has still got some thread on it, and I wouldn't necessarily, it looks like silk actually, I wouldn't necessarily empty it. I would keep it, I like that. This is another one. This one had like a, it's almost like a double strung wool on it. So that's quite nice. Wilson Brothers, Liverpool, that one. Apologies if you see bits of dust floating off these, because I've dusted some of them, not all of them. They are great for storing little scissors in them. This one I seem to remember is G. Wiggly Derby. Now my work husband's surname is Wiggly, so that's why I got that one. They are nice to, whoops, nearly had a catastrophe there. They are nice to stand other drums on. So they're a good replacement for making a drum. If you don't want to make a drum, perhaps you could wrap it around a spool. And sometimes if you want to make it a bit bigger, you have to just pack out the spindle. So this is my drum. This is a colour conversion of the top part of, is it called Leeds House by Rosewood Manor? And then that is a much bigger spool. So I use that for sitting on top. This is another type of spool. Oh, sorry, a much fatter one. These are the type that Christina from Whilst Iris Snaps tends to use for her finishes. I know because she sent me this one. This one I had made to my specifications by a local wood turner. So the way these fit, and I've got the months for quite a few months, not necessarily all of them, but quite a few months made up. And this is Pantini's collection, and I made mine so that they just tie at the back. Christina does beautiful ones where you almost do like a corset fastening at the back. But as I said, usually on that style of spool. You can make hanging ornaments with spools. So this is Chloe Girl with A Gavel Stitches, a freebie pattern from hers that I finished it in the summer, but it hung on my Christmas tree this year because I turned it into a little sort of a bell ornament, so I hung it on my Christmas tree. She's just bought another sampler. She bought a Welsh one. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Trying hard not to be really jealous, but it's beautiful. So there's that one. You can also, and I couldn't lay my hand on my one, but you can also make them. So I find that the best wood for painting, that paints really nicely, is actually bamboo. And you can buy a pack of 4 bamboo coasters for a few pounds. And you can buy a bamboo toothbrush holder as well for a couple of pounds. And you can glue the coaster onto the toothbrush holder. This is actually a sunglasses box that I've kept for the same purpose. And you'd obviously put a bottom one on, paint it whatever colour you like. It makes a beautiful spool if you can't get your hands on one that's the right size. Now, talking of size, I said to you I'm having some problems with scale. And for those of you who have seen my Instagram post, you'll know a rather large parcel arrived. Well, another rather large parcel arrived because I bought another spool. This is the biggest one in my collection. It is beautiful. What am I going to do with it? I think probably I'm just going to display this one. You could mount a sampler around it. It would have to be a very long, thin sampler. You could display it like that, I suppose, with some alphabets going along. But I think this one is just going to be for display. Or if the axle ever gives out on my car, I might use it for that as well. But it's beautiful. It's bright red. It's about 40 centimetres tall. And I just loved it. just loved it. So yes, I have been having some scale issues, but I love spools. I love them. They're just so tactile and you can do so many great things with them. I've actually got a couple of Ellen Chesters with thy needle patterns to stitch up, which would fit on spools like this, and I do have a couple of them that are this perfect size, and I'm pretty sure they would fit on this bigger one as well. So go looking for spools. You won't regret it. You won't regret it. Even if you just display them with your stitching with a little pair of scissors in the top, they are fabulous. I was watching Roz Clark craft yesterday, and I only had the chance to see just the very beginning of her newest FlossTube, and she's actually made some charts for sewing on banding to wrap around a spool. And I actually fished out one of the projects that we were given at, oops, catch that in a minute, Great British Sampler Weekend from Violets and Verses, which was a banding to stitch to go around a spool. And as you can see there, she's got 1 or 2 spools of her own. Beautiful. So that's going to stay in the to stitch pile because I've got enough spools. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little break here, and I'm going to move these spools because they are taking up all the room that I need. 2 seconds. I hope you enjoyed that little delve into some spools. Freebie. It's a bit of a theme here. Sue Hillis actually put out a freebie for a design set of spools, which almost makes like a little Christmas tree. So she's done hers in blues, but I really think if you switch those to greens or reds, it would make a beautiful kind of Christmas thing as well. Let me just fold it so that you can't see so much of the chart, and then I can show it closer up for you. The printing isn't quite clear, so if it looks a little bit blurred, it is very slightly. And then what she did was she actually, this was on her Facebook group, and what she did was to then repost just the picture of the spools again, because it was a little bit hard to read, so she then posted a much clearer picture. So I will put the links for this one down. The wording at the top suggests it may also be available on her website as well, so I'll try and put both of those links down. But I thought that was lovely, really, really nice, and with the theme for today. Okay, I have also got a little bit of stitchy kindness that I want to share with you. I've got the Patchwork Rabbit Boxing Day box, which I forgot to show. I've also got the winners of the competition from the very last day of Flossmas, from Christmas Eve. So let's do that first, actually. So I was giving away a set of PDFs for the owls, the Christmas ones, and a set of PDFs for the owls, which were the Halloween ones. So the winner of the Christmas ones, and the keyword there was Holly, was Christine George. So I'll put your comment up there. Thank you, Christine. And the winner for the Halloween set was Susan Howard Alt. I think that's how you say it. So I'll put your comment up there. So if you could email me, my email is in the drop down box below, or contact me on Instagram, something like that, then I can ping those over to you. Right, let's have a look at my stitchy kindness before we have a look at the Patchwork Rabbit box and the haul, which is reasonably extensive. My lovely friend Kathy sent me this. It actually came in just before Christmas, and I've had it on the side to show you. So she sent me this all the way over from America, and it has got some fabulous, fabulous pictures in it. So I can't wait to, I'm actually going to take that one to work and have it by my desk, just where my board is, so that I can see those pictures and dream of travels. And then my lovely friend Vivian and Trevor, she had been watching one of my Christmas floss tubes, and she saw that I had been confused by, what was it? Turtle Bites. So if you remember, there was a sachet of After 8 hot chocolate in one of the Evertote Roxy Flossco Modern Folk Embroidery Advent packets, and I drank it and it was delicious, and so I started to look to see if we could find it. And then I found that you could buy a multi-pack in the States together with something called turtle bites, like a turtle bites flavour. And I was like, turtle bites? So she messaged me, she said, we're in the States at the minute, we'll bring you some back. So she's bought me a whole load of these turtle bites. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, they are milk chocolate with pecan and caramel. Now, let me have one. We will do a little taste test. Not that I haven't eaten about 6 already. But I'm trying to work out kind of what they're most like. Taste-wise, they remind me of a Lion Bar, but they actually haven't got a wafer in. They're sort of like little bits of pecan on the inside. So they're very, very tasty. I'm going to save that one for later because they are quite chewy as well. And they've been in the fridge too, so they're proper chewy. Right, make sure there's no chocolate on my hands. It's a lethal thing, chocolate and stitching. Excuse me. And bless them, they also sent me a vintage milk glass. I don't know what you'd call it, like a bonbon dish or a candy dish. And obviously it's got the holes in the side, and she said, oh, maybe you could use them for scissors. So they would fit just nicely in the side like that. Now, I haven't seen many of these around actually in the UK with the holes in the side. I've seen them in the States, and it sort of, look at it, it glows beautifully. So thank you so much for that. I am really, really chuffed with that. It's got this beautiful design work on the side as well. So I can't wait to add some scissors to that. So thank you, that was really lovely of you to bring that back for me. Right, let's have a little look at the Patchwork Rabbit box, which I've got here. Whoops. So this was their Boxing Day box. I think I've got everything back in here that was originally in here. I may have missed the odd thing. I'm going to start off with the charts because the charts are kind of what helps everything else to make sense. So this was my contribution to the Boxing Day box, which was a series of charts where I've taken Sophia Stafford, and I'll put a picture of Sophia Stafford up there just to remind you what she looks like, and I have made her into some smalls. So there is a drum, there is a pin cushion, I can show you right back there so you can't really see it, and there is also, sorry, that's a scissor fold, there is also a pin cushion right back there. The drum has the house on it with the kind of motifs at the side, and what I've done is I've kind of changed the colours slightly, and these are the colours. So they make some beautiful spring, oops, that's not very well. Let's try and show you better. Some beautiful spring colours. Come around here. There we go. Those like that. So you've got endive, caramel corn, pink sand, red rocks, and palomino. So beautiful, beautiful spring colours there. And I also gave them permission to use the photograph on the front, which is an old postcard. No, it's not postcard. Carte de Visite, a CDV that I own of a woman stitching whilst her children are looking on. And the quote was, "Everything stops for the Patchwork Rabbit box." So you can just sit there and watch while I stitch. It's Boxing Day now. So a little set of those. There was also included this chart, which will come back there. So it's a red and green, you can just see around the outside, and in the middle it says "Joy to the World." So that's a beautiful Christmas chart. I can't wait to stitch that up. And the suggestion there is just to use your own reds and greens, whatever you fancy. However, there were also included some DMC, so 814, 890 and Ecru. So some colours there, lots of threads. And then we also had a series of fabrics included for making the tops of the drums and the backs of the pin cushions and things like that. And you can see how beautifully they go with the colours and how beautiful they're going to look as sort of spring pieces. So I'm going to try and stitch up some of those as soon as I can to share with you. There was also a counting pin included, which has got a little, it's actually got a snowflake on it. I hadn't noticed that the first time, but in the same sort of colour scheme, or you could put it onto the Joy to the World pin keep. We then had some Kelmscott Designs triangular buttons for a little bit of decor. We had a couple of little wooden items. So I want to try and make a chart for that one. I've seen some really lovely wooden Christmas decorations on Etsy, and I want to try and make a design for that. And a little oval one. He also had a little magnet and pin keep, or pin cushion, so you can push your pins and needles in the side there, in the shape of a macaron or a macaroon, depending on where you're from. And then we had these most beautiful Kelmscott scissors. Now mine were gold. I'm not sure whether they were different colours in different boxes, because I saw a picture of somebody else had posted, and they didn't look quite the same colour, but it could have just been the reflection of something else. So mine were gold, but they are the most beautiful, heavy, lovely scissors. So that was the Patchwork Rabbit Boxing Day box. So lots and lots of goodies in there. As I said, I can't wait to stitch those up and share them with you. Okay, so I do have some haul to share. I'm going to keep the biggie for last and keep you waiting for the biggie. Now, there is a little caveat to this. All of the haul was ordered and paid for before I found out that the van had blown a twin turbo. Yes, you heard me right, a twin turbo. The garage, the guy from the garage is going on holiday next week, I'm quite convinced, because it's very expensive. So anyway, this is all the haul that was purchased before the twin turbo blew. There may not be any for the rest of the year now, she says. But this was my pre-order from Peakside. So I didn't get the DMC with this one because I'd already pre-ordered the DMC for the first two. Now I haven't started the first one. I originally thought I was going to do them on one big piece of grey. I'm thinking again now. The Year in the Woods is going to be framed big. I don't have the wall space, and you'll see why I don't have the wall space again in a minute. I don't have the wall space for another big thing. So part of me was thinking about doing them on small pieces and actually almost like patchworking them together as part of like a bed topper or like a soft finish to throw over the back of a bed or something like that. So that's why I haven't started them yet, because I was unsure as to how I wanted to do that. If I do them on smaller pieces, then I'll probably pick 3 or 4 fabrics that work with them and just stick with those 3 or 4 fabrics, not do one big piece of grey. That's what I'm leaning towards. That is what I'm leaning towards. I just know I haven't got the room to frame a huge thing. So that's why I haven't started those. My Lakeside Needlecraft Classic Colourworks monthly came in. So we've got some beautiful colours this month. Really, really bright and vibrant. So we've got Heatherly. We have got Hazelnut. Hickory Sticks, which is a colour I've just switched out of a stitch because I didn't have it. Hollyberry, I love Hollyberry. It's a really kind of pinky red. Honeycomb, House Wine, Hydrangea, Jakey Brown, Jelly Roll, and Jolly Holly. So beautiful there. There's actually a red and a green there that would make a fabulous pairing for that patchwork rabbit stitch. We shall see. I'm going to put those in my little dish there. What else did I get? I got some project bags. Now I ordered these from Amazon and they came as a pack of 6. I've only got 3 of them here, but let me show you. They are these, which I thought was actually a really good alternative to a handmade project bag. It's kind of a step up from these. They're made of much stronger clear vinyl, and I think it was a pack of 6 for £13 or £14. So I've got my blessing sample in one. I've started to collect up my bits for the Pinker and Pumpkin Blogspot PNP 6 Houses 2024 sale, which I want to do in sulky, but could I find my box of sulky earlier? I've tidied it away somewhere over Christmas and I don't know where. And I also put this other project in here. Now I got this as a kit from an eBay seller, and I really like this one. It's by La Di Da. It's called 'Tis the Gift, and it says, "'Tis the gift to be simple, 'tis the gift to be free, 'tis the gift to come down where we ought to be." And I really liked that saying. So it came with a chart, a suggested fabric, which is like a bright lemony yellow. It's a Picture This Plus, it's called Chime, but I'm not going to use that one, because if you look at the colours that it comes with, there we are, parchment, grape arbor, sable, Grecian gold and antique rose is in there. If you look at the colours it comes with, that kind of yellow does not suit. So I'd provisionally pulled out a fabric of the month, Western Red Cedar, which I think would go with it. Or I've also got a piece of Fibre on a Whim Brown Sugar, which I think would go with it really well. And so I've still got 3 of those bags spare for other projects. But as I said, I was really quite pleased with those. And then I'd placed an order at Christmas with Silks For You. Now, if you've never bought from Silks For You before, what they do is they do hanks of silk. I can't remember the exact meterage offhand, but I'll put it down below because it's important. But you get a lot, and the hanks work out about £30 each. And if you buy 5, you get 1 for free. Now I think actually they work out less than that because they're based in Australia, but I paid in US dollars. But when I checked to see exactly how much I'd paid, it was less than I thought it was going to be. So you've got a conversion there from pound sterling to US dollar to Australian dollar. So I think it worked out for all 6, I think it worked out about £125, something like that, which is said not to boast, but it's said to give you an idea of the cost. So if there's a few of you that want to come together to buy the silks to then split them up, it is a far more cost-effective way of doing big projects in silks, especially monochromes or projects that have a lot of silks. And I've got in my head things like Ragnarok that I want to do. I'm also really impressed with the first month of the Fox and Rabbit free stitch along that they're doing. So yes. So let me show you the colours that I got, and then I'll show you what I do with them to kind of manage them. So the first one I got was a red, which is PR201. Now I have another hank of their red, which is much more variegated, whereas this one is actually much more of a uniform colour and a bit more of a sort of a true red, a Christmas red. So I got that one, so that's PR201. I also got PR202, which is kind of like a grey brown, which I thought would be very useful. It's a useful colour. Whoops, I haven't, there we go, try and grab them in the right place. A useful colour because it makes a nice contrast with the red. If you wanted to do a two-tone one, and you do use a lot of brown, roofs of things and trees and things like that, so I did think actually the brown would be quite a useful one to have. I ordered this one as well. Now if I'm completely honest, this didn't turn out like I thought it would. This is PR155. Now I have a colour that I used, and it may be that it was a solo because I used to be part of their Thread of the Month club, and it was a burgundy that went into a brown, and I used it for a lot of bricks. And when I looked at the description of this and the picture, it looked the same, but when it came, it's actually quite a lot more purple. It is a beautiful colour, but not necessarily one that I have an idea for at the moment, this moment in time, because it wasn't quite the colour that I thought it was going to be, but it is beautiful. The little white threads that you can see is just how they hold the skein together. I also ordered this one, which is PRO11, which is a real kind of bluey green. A real bluey green. So you can see next to the red, it looks fabulous. So I ordered that one as well. And then I also ordered this one, PR021. Now I've got this hankering to do Ragnarok in yellow. So I ordered a beautiful yellowy gold, which is lovely, really lovely. And then as a free one, I asked them to put in PR070 or PR70, which is their black. You cannot go wrong with a hank of black. And because it's silk, it's not the darkest dark black. It's not 310, but it's not a grey either. So what do you do with this amount of silk when it arrives? So let me show you what I do. I will take my silk, and there's always one part where you can clearly see where the ends are, which I think is here because it tends to be the messiest part. So what I'll do, this is one continuous piece of thread. So what I'll do is I'll cut it there. So that will give me a big long piece of, lots of strands of big long pieces of the thread. And then what I do is I make 2 more cuts. So I make 3 the same length, and then I just plait them. So, and secure them with just like a little hair bubble at the top and the bottom. Now this one, I can't remember the colour of it, but it is the colour that I'm doing my Modern Folk Embroidery Real Comfort in. Okay, so if I show you, so I've got it here, the stitch. So this is 1 strand of thread on 36 count, and you can do 1 strand of thread on 32 count as well, and 40 count, but the 32 count, because the silk's a little bit thicker, it works. So that's the thread that I'm doing it in, and that's what I do with it. I plait it, because then what you can do is when you want to take out a thread, you just pull one from the bottom and it comes out without any problems and without roughing up the rest of your silks. You can of course cut it into smaller skeins and pass it up onto floss drops if you want to, but I tend to find just keeping it like that is the best way. Right, should we get on to the main event now? This is going to be a long one. I saw this Welsh sampler come up and she is just everything that you would hope for in a Welsh sampler. This is Margaret Davies 1870, and you're going to lose me for a minute because you know I said I had problems with scale. These two look fabulous next to each other actually, they've been sat together. Now can I pick this up without? Oh. I should have just hung her up behind me, shouldn't I? There you go. So let's try and lift her up without hitting the ceiling. There she is. Can I get the whole thing in? Not quite. Not quite. There we go. That's the whole thing. Oh, she is heavy. So got this beautiful strawberry border, which changes to a bit more of a dark green at the bottom. The house, obviously. Her name there, age 13, 1870. So that would put her birth date somewhere around 1857. Unfortunately, Margaret Davies is the most common name in Wales at that time. So unless when I take the back of it, I find a birth certificate, which I'm not hoping out for, then yeah, she may remain anonymous. This is a Carmarthenshire carnation. So I did have a good look for Margaret Davies in Carmarthenshire, but written on the back in pencil on the, if I can sort of show you the back, it's got a paper backing where they've sort of sealed it when it's been framed. It says, hang on. I'm going to talk to you from around the corner. I'm just going to peer around like that. It says Mr Davies, Ton Pentre. So Ton Pentre is in Glamorgan. Oh, what was Glamorganshire? I was speaking to Mary Jenkins, who is Welsh Samplers on Instagram. She knows a lot. She says this is definitely kind of a carnation from Carmarthenshire. It bears a strong resemblance to some other stitches from the Kidwelly area, which is also Carmarthenshire. But she also said that lots and lots of families moved from Carmarthenshire down to where the collieries were, which puts it in that area. Now on the back it says Mr Davies, Ton Pentre. So it could be that it's come down a brother's line. So that Margaret stitched it, but it's come down through one of her brother's lines. It could also have come down her line directly, because in Wales there are a smaller number of surnames, Davies, Evans, Jones, and so it's not uncommon actually for two totally unrelated people to marry and for the surname to be the same. So it could be that Margaret Davies married a Mr Davies, and this could actually have come down straight down her line. But you've got these wonderful birds here. Lots and lots of flower pots. Oh gosh, let me see if I can come over this way. Hello, poke out from behind this side. And it's a pretty symmetrical one, and it's all about that house. And you can see you've got a satin stitch for the grass. So as I said, when I bought these two, they look great together. I just need to buy a huge big Welsh farmhouse with tiny windows so that not much light gets in. But look at her. I will be releasing her very shortly. Oh, as soon as I can get her charted and ready, she will be, very carefully, she will be out into the world because she's just fabulous. She's just fabulous. Right, that's it from me. I'll see you next week. Stay classy, stitchers.